The day you stop reacting, nobody can control you. Stoicism. There is a moment that changes everything. It does not arrive with fireworks or applause. It arrives quietly, in the space between an insult and your response, in the pause between a provocation and your silence. That moment is the birthplace of freedom. The ancient Stoics called it self-mastery. Modern psychology calls it emotional regulation. But you can call it what it truly is, the day you stop reacting. Most people spend their entire lives as puppets. Every insult pulls a string. Every rejection pulls a string. Every rumor, every slight, every raised eyebrow from a stranger pulls a string, and they dance exactly as expected. They call this having feelings. The Stoics called it slavery. Not slavery to another man, but slavery to your own untrained mind. And the moment you stop reacting is the moment you cut every string at once. Before we continue, if this message speaks to something in you, subscribe to this channel now. We build people who no longer bend to the will of others. We build people who think before they burn. Every subscription helps this message reach someone else who is still living as a puppet. Join us, and let's build that strength together. A short story. The Merchant and the Insult. In the old trading city of Antioch, there lived a merchant named Epictetus. He was known across the marketplace not for his wealth, though he had plenty, but for something rarer, his stillness. No matter what was said to him, no matter what accusation or insult was hurled his way, his face remained calm as still water. One day, a rival merchant, jealous of Epictetus's reputation, decided to test him. In front of a crowded market, the rival shouted, "Epictetus is a fraud. His scales are rigged. He steals from every man who trades with him." The crowd turned to watch. Surely now, they thought, Epictetus would explode. Surely now the mask would crack. But Epictetus simply continued weighing out grain for the woman in front of him, unbothered, as if the words had been carried away by the wind before they ever reached his ears. The rival, enraged by the silence, stepped closer. "Did you not hear me? I called you a thief." Epictetus finally looked up. "I heard you," he said calmly. "But I did not agree with you. And a man's words can only wound me if I hand him the knife." The crowd fell silent. The rival, humiliated not by an argument but by the sheer absence of one, walked away in shame. Years later, when a student asked Epictetus how he remained so calm under insult, he replied, "A dog barks at the moon every night. Does the moon ever answer?" That story is not just a fable. It is the entire architecture of Stoic philosophy compressed into a single scene. The moon does not argue with the dog. The moon does not lower itself to explain. It simply continues to shine, indifferent to the noise beneath it. This is the posture the Stoics spent their entire lives trying to embody, and it is the posture we are about to learn together. Principle 1. Understand that reaction is a gift you give away. Every time you react without thinking, you are handing someone a piece of your power. Epictetus, once a slave himself, understood this better than any philosopher in history. He knew what it meant to have no control over his body, his freedom, or his circumstances. Yet he discovered something that no master could ever take from him: his judgment, his opinion, his internal response to what happened to him. This became the foundation of his entire philosophy. Men can chain your body, but they cannot chain your mind unless you allow it. When you react instantly to an insult, a betrayal, or an inconvenience, you are proving that your peace depends on someone else's behavior. That is a dangerous place to live, because it means anyone, at any moment, with the right words, can control your entire emotional state. A stranger on the internet can ruin your day. A rude comment from a coworker can ruin your week. This is not strength. This is a leash, and you have handed the other end to everyone around you. Stoicism does not teach you to feel nothing. It teaches you to feel everything and choose your response anyway. There is a wide, spacious gap between stimulus and response, and in that gap lies your entire freedom. The untrained mind collapses that gap to nothing. The disciplined mind stretches it wide enough to think, breathe, and choose. This is the first shift you must make if you want to stop being a puppet and start being a man or woman who moves through life on your own terms. Principle 2. The insult only lands if you catch it. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher emperor of Rome, wrote in his private journal that if someone insults you, remember that it was your own opinion which insulted you, not the words themselves. This idea, though ancient, is more relevant today than ever. In a world of comment sections, group chats, and public criticism, we are bombarded daily with words meant to provoke us. Yet the words themselves are powerless. They are sound waves, or pixels on a screen. It is your mind that decides whether they wound you or pass through you like wind through an open window. Imagine a spear thrown at a wall of stone. No matter how sharp the spear, no matter how forceful the throw, it cannot pierce solid stone. It simply bounces off and falls to the ground. Your mind can be trained to become that wall. Not through numbness, not through pretending you feel nothing, but through the simple recognition that another person's words describe their own state, not your worth. When someone insults you, they are revealing their own anger, insecurity, or pain. They are not revealing a truth about you. The moment you understand this, insults lose their sting almost entirely. You begin to observe people's outbursts the way you might observe weather. Sometimes it rains, sometimes it storms, but you do not take the storm personally. You simply put on a coat, or you walk inside, and you continue your day. Principle 3. Silence is not weakness, it is ammunition. In many cultures, silence is mistaken for defeat. People believe that if you do not fire back, you have lost the exchange. But the Stoics understood silence as one of the most powerful tools available to a disciplined mind. Silence denies your opponent the fuel they are seeking. An argument requires two people throwing wood onto a fire. The moment one person stops feeding it, the fire has no choice but to die. Seneca, in his letters to Lucilius, often spoke about the danger of getting swept into other people's storms. He warned that anger is a temporary madness, and that a wise man does not enter madness just because someone else has invited him to. When you refuse to react, you are not losing the argument. You are refusing to participate in a battle that was designed to drain you. There is enormous strength in choosing not to explain yourself to everyone who demands an explanation. There is enormous strength in walking away from a conversation that has turned into an attack. This is not cowardice. Cowardice is reacting impulsively because you are too weak to control your emotions. Discipline is remaining silent because you have decided the outcome does not require your energy. The next time someone tries to provoke you into a reaction, remember that silence, delivered with calm posture and steady eyes, often unsettles people far more than any words ever could. If this is resonating with you, take a moment right now to subscribe to this channel. We are building a community of people who refuse to be controlled by their emotions, who choose discipline over impulse, and who are rewriting the way they move through the world. Subscribing costs you nothing, but it helps this message reach 1,000 more people who need to hear it today. Let's keep growing this together. Principle 4. Detach your identity from other people's opinions. One of the deepest sources of emotional reactivity is the belief that your identity depends on how others perceive you. If you believe you are only as good as your last compliment, then you will also believe you are only as bad as your last criticism. This creates a fragile identity, one that shifts with every gust of public opinion. The Stoics taught something radically different. They taught that your worth is determined by your own virtue, your own actions, and your own character, not by the applause or condemnation of a crowd. Diogenes the Cynic, one of the forefathers of Stoic thought, lived in near poverty by choice, rejecting the opinions of Athenian society entirely. He was mocked publicly, called mad by many, yet he remained unshaken because his sense of self was never built on their approval in the first place. When you detach your identity from external validation, something remarkable happens. Criticism no longer devastates you, because your foundation was never built on the shifting sand of public opinion. Praise no longer inflates you either, because you understand that praise is just as unreliable and temporary as criticism. You begin to build your identity on something far more solid, your own principles, your own discipline, your own inner compass. This is the beginning of true independence, the kind that cannot be shaken by a single comment, a single rejection, or a single bad day. Principle 5. The space between trigger and response is sacred. Viktor Frankl, though not a Stoic himself, echoed the same ancient wisdom when he wrote about the space between stimulus and response. In that space lies our power to choose our reaction, and in our reaction lies our growth and our freedom. This idea did not begin with Frankl. It was alive in the writings of Epictetus centuries earlier, when he taught that it is not events that disturb us, but our judgments about those events. Think of the last time you reacted poorly to something small, a delayed flight, a rude text message, a minor inconvenience. In that moment, did you pause before reacting, or did the emotion take over instantly, hijacking your behavior before your rational mind even had a chance to weigh in? For most people, the answer is the latter. The emotional brain fires faster than the rational brain, and unless you have trained yourself to create space, you will always react before you think. Creating that space is a practice, not a switch you flip overnight. It begins with something as simple as a breath before you respond to a difficult message. It begins with counting to 5 before you answer someone who has provoked you. It begins with asking yourself, in the heat of the moment, will this response serve the person I am trying to become, or the person I am trying to leave behind? Over time, this pause becomes automatic, and that automatic pause becomes your greatest weapon against a world designed to provoke you at every turn. Principle 6. Control what is yours, release what is not. At the core of Stoic philosophy lies the dichotomy of control, first articulated clearly by Epictetus. Some things are within our power: our opinions, our desires, our reactions, our will. Other things are not within our power: other people's opinions of us, the weather, the economy, the actions of strangers, even our own reputation, which lives in the minds of others and not within our control at all. Most human suffering comes from confusing these two categories. We try to control what is not ours to control, and we neglect the one thing that is always, fully, entirely ours, our own mind. When you try to control another person's opinion of you, you will suffer endlessly, because you cannot force a mind that is not your own. But when you focus entirely on your own actions, your own integrity, and your own responses, you find a strange and powerful peace, because that is territory you can actually govern. This does not mean you become passive or indifferent to the world. It means you stop wasting your limited emotional energy on battles you were never equipped to win. You direct that same energy instead toward your discipline, your growth, your craft, and your character. This redirection of energy, from the uncontrollable to the controllable, is perhaps the single most transformative shift a person can make in their entire life. Principle 7. Anger is a debt you pay with interest. Seneca wrote an entire treatise on anger, calling it the most destructive of all human emotions, more destructive than fear, more destructive than grief, because anger convinces you that its cause is always justified. Anger disguises itself as righteousness. It tells you that you are simply defending yourself, simply standing up for what is right, when in truth it has already hijacked your judgment and turned you into someone you would not recognize in a calmer moment. The cost of anger is rarely paid in the moment. It is paid afterward, in the relationships damaged, the words that cannot be unsaid, the reputation quietly eroded one outburst at a time. Anger feels powerful in the instant, but its aftermath is almost always regret. This is why Seneca compared anger to a falling building. It collapses on the very thing that caused it to fall in the first place. The Stoic response to anger is not suppression. Suppressed anger festers and eventually explodes in more damaging ways. The Stoic response is examination. When anger rises, the disciplined mind asks, what judgment have I made that is producing this anger? Is that judgment even true? Is this situation truly worth the price my anger will demand from me? More often than not, when examined honestly, the anger deflates on its own, revealed as an overreaction to something far smaller than it first appeared. Principle 8. The freedom is in the indifference, not the suppression. There is an important distinction the Stoics made that modern audiences often misunderstand. Stoic calm is not the same as emotional suppression. Suppression is forcing a smile while rage boils underneath the surface. Stoic calm is genuine indifference, born from understanding that the external event truly does not have the power you once assigned to it. This indifference is not coldness. It is clarity. When Marcus Aurelius faced betrayal from those closest to him, including a trusted general who attempted to seize his throne, he did not respond with rage or vengeance. He responded with measured diplomacy, even offering forgiveness, because he understood that his peace was not dependent on the loyalty of other men. This was not weakness. This was the calm of a man who had already made peace with the fact that other people's choices were never his to control in the first place. When you reach this level of indifference, not apathy, but true philosophical indifference to things outside your control, you begin to move through the world with a lightness that others find almost unsettling. People try to provoke you, and nothing happens. People try to insult you, and you simply continue your day. This is not because you have become numb. It is because you have finally stopped handing your peace over to people who were never going to protect it in the first place. If you have made it this far, you are exactly the kind of person this channel was built for. Please take a moment to subscribe now, because the next section of this video goes even deeper into how to apply these principles in real, everyday situations. Every subscriber helps us reach someone else who is tired of reacting and ready to start living with discipline. Let's keep building this together. Principle 9. Practice in small moments to prepare for large ones. Nobody becomes unshakable overnight. The businessman who remains calm during a financial collapse has practiced calm during 1,000 smaller frustrations first. The delayed meeting, the rude email, the missed opportunity. Discipline is built the same way muscle is built, through repeated, deliberate practice under manageable resistance. Start small. The next time someone cuts you off in traffic, practice the pause. The next time a colleague takes credit for your work, practice the pause. The next time a stranger online insults something you posted, practice the pause. These small moments are training grounds for your nervous system, teaching your body that provocation does not require an immediate reaction. Over time, this training compounds, and situations that once would have sent you into a spiral become nothing more than background noise. The Stoics practiced something called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of adversity. Each morning, they would imagine potential setbacks, insults, or losses they might face that day, not to create anxiety, but to remove the element of surprise. When adversity strikes and you have already mentally rehearsed your calm response, you are far less likely to be hijacked by emotion. This simple morning practice, just a few minutes of quiet reflection, can transform your entire relationship with life's daily provocations. Principle 10. When you stop reacting, you start leading. There is a reason calm people are trusted in crisis. There is a reason the room turns to the person who is not panicking when everything falls apart. Reactivity signals a lack of control, and people instinctively distrust those who cannot control themselves. Calm signals mastery, and mastery attracts respect, trust, and influence, whether in business, in relationships, or in leadership of any kind. When you stop reacting, you stop being a mirror for other people's chaos and you become an anchor instead. Anchors do not move because the water is rough. They hold steady precisely because the water is rough, and that stability is what allows the entire ship to survive the storm. This is what you become when you master your reactions, not someone who avoids conflict, but someone who moves through conflict without being consumed by it. This is the ultimate reward of Stoic discipline. It is not just personal peace, though that alone is worth the effort. It is influence. It is respect. It is the quiet authority that comes from a person who cannot be manipulated, cannot be baited, and cannot be controlled by cheap provocation. In a world addicted to outrage, the calm mind becomes rare, and what is rare becomes valuable. The final truth. The day you stop reacting is the day you stop being owned. Not by other people, not by circumstances, not even by your own untrained impulses. It is the day you finally step into the seat that was always meant to be yours. The seat of the observer, the chooser, the one who decides rather than the one who is dragged along. This is not a switch you flip once and forget. It is a daily discipline, practiced in small moments, tested in large ones, and refined over a lifetime. But every single day you choose the pause instead of the outburst, you are building something that no one can take from you. You are building freedom. You are building peace. You are building the kind of strength that does not need to shout to be felt in a room. If this video added even a small amount of value to your life, please subscribe to this channel. We are building a community rooted in discipline, wisdom, and self-mastery, and we release content like this regularly to help you become the version of yourself who is no longer controlled by the noise of the world. Like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and comment below with the moment you finally learn to stop reacting. Thank you for spending this time with us. Keep becoming.